So we're doing problem number 1. We're going to be talking about inverse functions and their relations. All right, so what I'd like you to do right now is we're going to go, everybody's calculator, what I want you to do right now is hit second plus 7, 1, 2, so that we're all looking at the same screen. Hit y equals, open up the parentheses, type in x minus 1, close parentheses to the 3rd power, and then you're going to put plus 1. So we're going to look at the table of that. Hit second table. We'll scroll up here, and we're only going to do a certain portion of the table. What I want you guys to write down right now is just this portion on your paper. Okay? So right there from -1 to +3. Okay? I'm going to go back here. Right here, I'm going to go from -1 to +3. Okay? So -1 was -7. All right. 0 was?
0.
No.
0, 0.
0 was 0?
Yeah.
Okay, 0, 0, all right.
And 1 is 1.
1 is 1, 2 is 2, but then 3 jumps up all the way to 9. Okay, now we can't plot all these on our paper. But right now, what I want you to understand is these values I want you to have on your assignment. Okay? Now,
What's the other side?
the other side is what we're going to be the inverse. So right here, you see this f to the -1? That means the inverse of our function. Okay? Now, our inverse will actually be the numbers inverted. Now, -7, -1, you can see that. You can't really see that it's inverse if it's 0, 0, even if they switch places. You can't really recognize it if it's 1, 1. Or 2, 2. But you should know it's going to be a 9.
So is that why you wanted to kind of do one that we couldn't graph so we could get a...
Right, we're going to be graphing this, but also we're looking at the table. The table would not make any sense had we not put the -1, -7 that we couldn't graph, and the 3 and 9 that we can't graph. Right. So what I want you to do right now is just plot these 3 numbers on your paper, please. 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. All right, so right now, don't draw a straight line. 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. But you're not going to connect it with a straight line. Okay? Let's look at our graph now. Ready? Let's go to our graphing calculator, hit the graph, let's take a look at it. Now this graph, the boundaries of this graph are bigger than what's on your paper. So here's what I want you to do. Hit zoom 4. Zoom 4, and I'll pause it. Alright, so here's our graph on your graphing calculator, but we're going to add some grid lines. So hit second, zoom, and we're going to format our screen over here where we're going to have grid lines. Second zoom, and go to where it says grid line right here, highlight it, press enter, and when you graph, now what do you notice that you have? You have grid lines.
So hit enter on grid off. Grid off.
Yeah, so no, go to the right and put on grid line.
Oh.
It don't look like.
Ryan, when you ask questions, it's very important that I be able to hear what you're asking.
So we don't graph on -1.
No, we don't graph on -1. What we're going to do, all right, we're going to take right here, you see how right here, Ryan, that we're at a -1 right here? And over here, we are at a 3. So when you're drawing your graph, just do your best to follow how the graph is going. So there's my first section that I'm going to draw. I'll go back to my graphing calculator. Okay, it goes up pretty steep through 0, 0. And then right here, it takes a big bend. And it shoots up. So I'm not expecting perfection. I'm expecting it not to cross over this 3 right here. And I'm expecting it not to cross over the -1 right there. So on your paper, do your best to draw that picture. And refer back to your calculator. All right? Refer back to your calculator as you're drawing it. Do the best you can. The question was asking us to draw the inverse or graph the inverse of this, okay? So there's something you guys need to understand. All inverses are graphed across the equation y equals x. So the second thing that we're going to do, okay, right now is we are going to graph a line y equals x as the inverse. We're going to need your ruler. So what I want you to do right now is I'm going to plot points where y is equal to x. One of them is at 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So follow that pattern, make those points all the way across, then use your ruler, line them up to the best of your ability, and draw a nice straight line all the way through those points.
I didn't do a very good job with that. Redo it. It should have been a more than hard one.
Okay? So draw your y equals x. By the way, just do 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. It's just up, 1, over. Okay? Just keep following those points. Follow that pattern. Now, we could take the ordered pairs. Right now, we could take these ordered pairs and plot them, but they're not really helpful because what's the only ordered pairs we can actually plot from our inverse relation? 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. Those are the only points. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the graphing calculator to help us think about how to draw inverses. So we're going to do something in the graphing calculator. So everybody go to your graphing calculator, hit second mode, get to this screen, please. So everybody right here is on this screen. Okay? Here are the steps. Hit second program number 8. All right? So, by the way, I'm going to give you the instructions on how to do this. You could write this in your journal. You hit the second button, which is the blue button, right? You hit the program button. I think it's PRGM. You see where it says program right here. And what's the word above program? Draw. So second program, and then number 8 on that screen is the words draw INV, which is short for draw inverse. Now don't press enter, just get it right, keep it right there. So just draw inverse, leave it like that. So far so good? Okay. Now, we actually want to draw the inverse of what's in our y1 because we typed in y1. So how do we get to draw the inverse of y1? Here's what you do. Hit not second, my apologies. Hit alpha, trace. So right now, to get to this, you have to get to the screen where we're going to select y1. You had to hit the alpha button, which is green. So I'm going to highlight it in green. All right? And then you hit the trace button. And what does that bring you to? That brings you to the screen where all the y1, y2, y3. Okay? So which one are we going to select?
Y1.
Y1. Okay? So right now I'm going to hit enter. And so what am I telling the calculator to do? I'm telling the calculator, please draw the inverse of y1 for me. Okay? So here we go. Press enter. And what does it do? It draws the inverse for you. Now, it's kind of confusing because they're both blue, right? So here's what we're going to do. Here's what I want you to do. Go to y equals. Go over here to our blue. All right? Hit enter. Let's change the blue to red. So go down and hit OK. Now, what did I say after you do that? What did I say all inverses reflect across? No, not the x-axis or the y-axis, but y equals x. So hit x. Now, what do you think would probably be logical? Instead of having two reds, what do we probably want to do?
Black.
Wait.
Black.
Y equals x is the constant.
No, y equals x is the identity function where y is equal to x. It's a line. No, constant is a number, like y equals 2, y equals 1, y equals 3. Okay? So we're going to hit enter. I'm going to change this. Instead of red, I'm going to change it to green. I'm sorry that you don't like green. I apologize.
It's okay.
Now the graph is
All right?
It's good.
So right here, we are going to hit this graph, and we've changed it to green. So when I graph it, there's the first graph. There's my y equals x. And you're like, oh my gosh, where did our inverse go? Not a big deal. All you have to do is hit second mode. Once you put it in your calculator once, you don't have to redo all the steps over again. All you have to do is scroll back up, highlight where it says draw inverse, press enter, and it'll draw the inverse for you again. So I'm going to label everything so you know what the heck is being drawn here.
Oh,
All right?
you said go back and then just hit enter?
No, I said go back. Scroll up to where it says draw inverse, press enter, and then enter again.
I did.
So right here, there it is. Okay. So this right here, this is your function y equals parentheses x minus 1 close parentheses to the power of 3 plus 1.
It kind of reminds me of DNA.
Yeah, this guy. All right. Yeah, like the deoxyribonucleic acid.
That must have been in biology.
Yes. There's your y equals x. And this right here is your what? That's your inverse. Now, the calculator doesn't calculate the new function, but it does draw it for you. What I'd like you to do on your paper is do your best to draw this. Now, how would you possibly draw it? Yeah, look at the points. All right, so if I was to go back and draw this, I'd be like, okay, well, let's see here. This right here is going to be across the y-axis. This part right here is going to be across the y-axis. Then I'm just trying to, remember, the y equals x, that green line is your line of symmetry, so I'm going to go that way. And then right here, you're doing your best to make it symmetrical on both sides of this y equals x. So just do your best to get a drawing that represents what's happening in your graphing calculator. All right? So, in conclusion, what I want you guys to understand is when you draw an inverse, you have the ability to check your drawing with the graphing calculator. Okay? Helps you check to see if you did things correctly.